stuff, they need more support.
Well, yeah, they do, and that's what we do with them. We go in there and teach them the life skill stuff, and what they're getting, other than that, is career stuff. You know, they choose a career, and they actually have to punch a clock, and they give them a little stipend, and and they go in there and study about whatever.
I
Usually,
hope Shiloh gets that City of Fort Worth Next Generation program. That'll be for 8 weeks, and it's paid. And then he's gonna do, then we're gonna look at internship. He's probably just gonna do his internship here, because it's in one place, and they have a lot of paperwork to fill out. Maybe, I don't know, or with you guys.
yeah.
But first, we gotta hear from the City of Fort Worth.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually move this light
We gotta hear
forward.
from the
Okay.
So
City
you might
of
want to
Fort
read.
Worth so
You might
that
have to
we
read
can,
just.
Oh, okay.
Or if you want to just bring it in a little.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
can plan the schedules
Yeah.
for you guys or for him. He's still gonna do the Saturday podcast, that's not
Yeah.
going away.
Okay,
But we've gotta get everything scheduled, and the City of Fort Worth is the one that's holding us up right now.
So it's this one needs to go because we're gonna need three eventually.
Oh, you gonna need 3 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna need three.
Yeah, we have a guest coming, she's just late.
Okay.
Trey, we'll always have a guest.
Okay, let's get to that.
Virtually always, yeah.
we'll try.
Let's look at the camera perfect.
There's only been 2 or 3 times where we haven't had a guest. You know what our intro is?
I'm about to get on there and we'll check you over that.
Oh, you're.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I actually got a chance to sit down on my computer this morning.
Oh, nice.
For a change. Hey.
All right. Let's see. Which one do you like for your intro right here?
We only
Yeah,
have one.
we got the intro, and then when we're going out, we play the outro.
Alright.
And when we take a break, we play something else.
Yeah, it's the outro, yeah.
Right. What are you guys gonna break with today?
Would they play,
Anything?
something that's not,
Commercial.
that's not commercial, just play. They'll have a couple songs in there that are just music.
So all these should already be approved then?
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I don't know why the city's holding us up, if they just, we can hurry up and give us a no, we can move forward, or a yes, we can move forward. My brother said, just go ahead and call them, it might do our Monday. Get it out of the way.
Yeah.
What's Clemens doing this summer?
I don't exactly know what she's doing this summer. I know that she's, Future Leaders Outreach Network is in line for nonprofit of the year there in that area, and she's in line for businesswoman of the area, of the year in that area, so.
Well, they've got FIFA coming over there. The
They're
World
going-
Cup's gonna be there in Kansas
They're
City.
gonna be in Kansas City too, yeah.
That's gonna be big business.
On the World Cup.
Many guys have come to you with a line that wasn't true, and you passed them by. Passed them by.
Can you give me that
Does
stuff?
she have brothers
Oh,
and
there's
sisters?
some of it.
Does she have brothers and sisters?
Yes.
Parents?
Yes.
Now you're in the center ring, and your lines don't mean a thing. Why don't you let me try?
You wanna squeeze in towards the center for me?
Well, you won't, our speaker will be here in a little bit.
Yeah, she'll,
Oh, no,
yeah,
no,
but,
I'm just,
yeah, but
I mean,
that's
just to
fine.
get it all on
Yeah.
camera.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
There's to be some symmetry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Are we
It's
good?
organized.
yes, man.
So I just call her Judge O'Reilly?
Yeah.
Okay. First I'll say her full name and then.
Bless her heart. I'm trying to tell her how to get here and stuff, like, I can't do this and that.
Great.
I should have talked to somebody before, well, let's deal with it now. I hate folks that keep going back to, why didn't we, oh, please, will we just get to the
change your behavior, it's not gonna change the outcome. That's for sure. Going back changes your behavior, then it will change the outcome. But going back is not necessarily to change your behavior. It's not. Well, I guess it is for some
Well,
people.
not if you're convinced that everything you've ever done in your life is correct. Or again, you can't change the past. You can change how you feel about the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
Okay, Trey, you keep doing all this and then in a minute it's gonna all move again.
Oh, yeah?
I was gonna, wait,
I'm just joking around with you.
Will be it.
you know, Raymond Pitts, the guest that we've had on a few times,
Uh-huh.
he won a karaoke contest in, was it Oklahoma?
New
Uh-huh.
Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah, and guess what the song he played?
What?
My Girl,
Oh, yeah?
The Temptations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We knew it, we knew that's the one he won on. He showed us the tape.
Yeah.
You like this? You did a good job.
Excuse
And
me.
his wife went on a cruise and vacation, must be nice.
Yeah.
Well, we just came back from San Antonio, Charlotte and I went Tuesday. Came back yesterday.
Oh, that's nice. You have a good time?
Yeah, I had a pretty good time.
We have to go see my aunt.
Yeah.
She lives outside of San Antonio, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Pleasant.
That's funny. I won a karaoke contest on a cruise ship.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was, you know, they had it in a big room. So,
Next year, we're gonna have to do his party where they have karaoke. There's no doubt about that. 'Cause it's gonna be a graduation and birthday.
I sang Purple Rain.
Oh, Purple Rain.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
By Prince.
But,
You know, I like absolutely nothing that guy did. Not his music, not him, not anything. I just felt like he was just I mean, he had talent, the whole world loved him and all that. He just wasn't.
Wasn't your cup of tea?
Yeah.
Not on any level.
I think Prince was phenomenal.
My daughter liked him a lot.
For any, first of all, me being a musician, anyone that can play all those instruments and not just tinker with them. I mean, Prince was a virtuoso at least 11 different instruments. He could play a whole lot more.
Yeah.
But he
Well,
was
at 4 feet tall, he had to do
a
something.
virtuoso at guitar, at bass, at drums, at piano, at classical, and at just all kind of stuff. I mean, just like that. It's a virtuoso. And there were a lot of what you would call rock musicians, you know, the guys that call themselves the real rock musicians,
Yeah.
that doubted Prince. But when they challenged him, they would challenge him live, you know, just like people would challenge Bruce Lee to fights.
Yeah.
And he would show them up, and then they would, oh, how'd you do that? In fact, after he met Eric Clapton, wasn't too long, somebody asked, because for a long time, Eric Clapton was considered the best guitarist in the world. And they asked him how it felt to be the best guitarist in the world, and he said, I don't know, you should ask Prince.
Clapton was the best guitarist.
He was the best for sure.
he was at a point.
Yeah, especially out of that era.
Well, he still is, you know, he still is pretty good.
He is, he's still very good. Yeah, let's get, we're already late, let's get going.
Okay, we go without the.
Yeah, we're gonna-
yes?
yeah,
Okay. All right, yeah, we're ready.
Okay.
All right, just check that mic in the middle just in case. Make sure it's on.
Check.
All right, you on the far end is good.
Check 1, check 2.
All right, sounds like we're good. Let's undo it. Start recording, going live in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for tuning in to to listen to our broadcast, Eagle Club Network. We are the future emerging and inspiring global leaders and entrepreneurs from the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas Metroplex, who are a part of the Future Leaders Outreach Network. Pursuing your dreams, Eagle Club Project.
The program, supported by the Family Youth Services Bureau, is developed to teach evidence-based teen pregnancy prevention curriculum that teaches middle and high school students to set boundaries from drugs, alcohol, violence, bullying, and all premature sexual activity. Also, parents and other adults can attend our Parent Involvement Network workshops.
We thought you ought to know.
Our slogan is leaders are like eagles soaring to reach the top. So grab a pad and pen and be ready to write down some valuable practical principles and promising practices that will encourage, empower, cultivate, and motivate you to soar like an eagle to the top of the summit, the highest point to reach.
We thought you ought to know. And now, the Eagle Club Network broadcast.
Welcome back, welcome back. This is When Eagles Talk, the weekly radio broadcast and podcast here on the Fishbowl Radio Network, put on by Future Leaders Outreach Network. For those that may be watching or listening for the first time, Future Leaders Outreach Network, we are a nonprofit. You can learn all about us by going to www.flon, like Frank, Lima, Oscar, Nancy, flon.org. And you can see how long we've been around. We've been around over 25 years as an entity. Our mission, our purpose is to really uplift and empower young people and give their families the means to help those young people to become the best version of themselves, both now and in the future. It is another glorious Saturday afternoon, and we are happy to be here. I'll go ahead and get a little of the housekeeping out of the way. I want to first acknowledge our executive director, Dr. Diana Clemens. It is her vision that brought this broadcast and podcast about, and it is her continued support, along with financial support of the Family Youth Services Bureau, that keeps it on the air. I want to say hello to and acknowledge our co-founder, Ms. Njeri Shamari. She has been just instrumental in the success of this nonprofit and a big help to us here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So I just want to say hello and tell her that we can't wait till the next time we see her. I want to say hello to and acknowledge the Future Leaders Outreach Network Board of Directors. They're in the Dallas, we're in Dallas. They're in the Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas area, as well as say hello to and acknowledge the staff there in the Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas area. And I want to say hello to and acknowledge the Future Leaders Outreach Network staff here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I was just, it's funny how you pay attention to things. I've heard our intro, our theme, a gazillion times probably over the, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I've heard it a lot.
Yeah.
And I just happen to focus on the words, pursue your dream, because they'll be life-changing. I mean, when you think about that, it is the pursuit of our dreams that changes our world, So I want to just encourage anyone that would be listening or watching today to pursue your dreams, because our dreams are what changes our world. They are life-changing. So don't be afraid to go after them. Anyone that would keep you from going after them is not a good influence in your life, and we talk about that a lot in our curriculum. Anyone that's constantly negative is not a good influence, and we should get away from them. Shiloh, I guess I'm going to go ahead and, by the way, the name of the broadcast is When Eagles Talk, and Eagles is an acronym for Emerging and Aspiring Global Leaders and Entrepreneurs Soaring. And we definitely have such an individual on the other end of the table. How you doing today, Shiloh?
I'm doing great, Mr. Stewart. How are you today?
I am above ground, so it's a good day, no complaints. As everyone can see, there is a chair empty here, but we do have a guest speaker on the way, and so we are going to carry on. She got hung up in traffic and turned around a little bit, so we're going to carry on and await her arrival. So Shiloh, how was school this week?
It was pretty good. I ended off my final exams. I might end off with all A's, but we'll see what happens. And it took a lot of work. The semester went by pretty fast, but just goes to show you, when you're, going through it, time just goes by real fast.
It does. When you're focused on things, you don't have time to sit around and look at your clock.
Yeah.
You have to have things to do.
Right.
So you made the dean's list the
Yes,
last semester, was it last quarter or last semester?
Yeah, the last quarter.
Last quarter, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, sounds like you're well on the way to making it, this time as well.
Yes, sir.
So I want to definitely just, commend you, man. You have taken, your life seriously. You have taken, the bull by the horns. You are being the master of your destiny.
Yes, sir.
So that is commendable. What is there any general advice that you would give to a person coming out of high school, because they'll be graduating here? In fact, they're graduating already in some places.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Graduating and going into college for the first year. What advice would you give them?
That's a good question. Some advice I would give to them is don't be nervous. College is not that different from high school. You take classes, you're gonna meet new people. Your social circle may not be as tight as it was in high school, but that's just a good way for you to just expand your horizons, in terms of your social settings. When you're in high school, you have a group of buddies
Yes,
most
ma'am.
of the time, and
Just
you
get on the
get to know them. I know for me, when I was in high school, I had a few close-knit friends that I hung around with, but when you go to college, you're gonna have to gain some experience of just talking to new people and just finding out what interests you in general, and finding your community.
Yeah. So I've seen a lot of growth, since I met you, but especially in the last year. But what areas do you think you've grown in the most through your first year of college?
Oh man, that's a good question. One of the ways I think I've grown in a sense is knowing how to manage my time in terms of deadlines. Like in my classes, I had a lot of teachers give assignments, and I had to narrow down which ones were more important over the other, and also how to manage that within my free time. And I think a part of it is that college professors, they're not as lenient as high school teachers. So if you don't get your work in on time, it's gonna cost you a lot. But I think in terms of growth, I've been able to kind of venture out in terms of socializing with people. I've with my teachers, particularly my history professor, Dr. Ohan, we had him on the radio about a month ago or so. When I first met him, I'm like, this is a guy who's, teaching African American history, and I'm like, I would think someone who shares my experience, could teach that, but I think it goes to show that we create like stereotypes in our head about who can teach this subject or that subject. But once you get to know the person a little bit more, your perception of them changes in a way to where you feel more open to them. So I would just say developing my perspective has helped me a lot, and not limit myself to what I just want to see.
But yeah, and we have to be willing to see beyond our perceptions. I guess we're all fed some stereotypes.
Yeah.
As a part of our growth experience.
Yeah.
But we do have to be willing to see around them. I myself was adopted by a white woman. You know what I'm saying? So my perceptions of skin color as it relates to how people behave or what they know,
Yeah.
where their passions lie,
Yeah.
had to change pretty early.
Right.
And I think that's what sounds like that's what you experienced, where so you found that someone that wasn't necessarily African American
Right.
had a lot of knowledge about history
Right.
and culture, African American culture.
Yeah.
So I think our guest has arrived, so we're going to divert some attention and Hello,
Hello,
how are you?
fine, nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. Let's see, I was wondering if that chair comes up.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay, well, you have to get the mic kind of close to you. There you go.
Yes.
So anyway, Shavo, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guest to our listening and viewing audience, because this is a podcast as well.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Hello, everyone. We are very honored and privileged to introduce to you our special guest joining us today, Mary Shawn O'Reilly. She has spent more than 4 decades serving the people of Texas as a respected judge, mediator, and educator here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. She has handled over 12,400 median assignments. She has served in multiple family courts, and she was also recognized statewide for her excellence and leadership as a commitment to justice, and we are very excited to have her with us today.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So, Judge O'Reilly, can you tell our audience just a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, I was born actually in Dallas, 30 miles away, but only lived there 3 days before I came to Fort Worth. And so essentially was raised in the Fort Worth community when it was a city of 250, 300,000 people, not a city of 1 million people. And I was very fortunate to have wonderful, sweet, kind parents. My mother was a nurse educator. My father was a businessman. He served in the Second World War. They had lived through the Depression, put themselves through college. And then I guess they didn't think they were busy enough, so they had 11 children. I'm the second oldest of 9 girls and 2 boys. And really just was very fortunate to have a wonderful family life growing up. I wanted to be a veterinarian until I was 16. Then I thought it would be better to work with people. Decided I wanted to be a lawyer, not a social worker. And eventually went to the University of Dallas, got my undergraduate degree in English, went to law school, was a trial attorney, worked as a legal aid lawyer in the federal poverty law program. My cases were primarily abused women and children, and after being a trial lawyer for about 6 or 7 years, the judges in Tarrant County started a new program that they called Court Masters in 1983, but it was really the associate judge program because they needed more judges to handle the dockets for the family and juvenile courts. So I was the second person selected for that position, so I became a judicial officer in December of 1983 and served in that capacity until July of 2024, when I formally retired in my judicial commission and was asked by a community of Catholic sisters who had been some of the educators I had growing up, would I be their administrator, since they were all now between 80 and 100. There are about 18 of them in the city of Fort Worth. So I now work 5 days a week, doing the legal business and financial matters for the sisters, and I'm raising a 17-year-old great nephew, so I'm in touch with this generation, which is very different than my generation.
Nice. Sounds very interesting. So you mentioned that when you turned 16, you decided not to be a veterinarian anymore. Can you tell us what swayed you into working in the legal profession?
Well, I think I was just one of those kids. My father made the mistake of teaching me to read when I was 5. So by the time I was in 2nd grade, I thought I understood that the world was much bigger than Fort Worth, Texas. I was an adolescent during the 60s and all the turmoil of the civil rights movement and struggle, and saw poverty for the first time, even in the Fort Worth community I had grown up in. And I just decided I wanted to be an advocate. I'd been an advocate for the younger kids in my family throughout my adolescence. And I just thought being an advocate for those who needed access to the system was important.
Yeah, finding, your passion and, helping others, that's something that, a lot of people look favorably upon, because when you're able to take something that you love to do and you're able to help others in the process, it brings a lot of happiness in the end, I would say. So I guess what were some of your goals when you first became a part of the legal arena?
Well, I think that one of the first things for me personally was I just wanted to do a good job. The legal aid attorneys were not looked upon in the legal community as stellar advocates or high ability professionals. And I was in the courtroom every day, all day, and I just wanted to do a good job advocating for my clients who otherwise wouldn't have access to the system. And I enjoyed, like you said, to find your passion and to really enjoy your work. I loved my work. I loved all my work as a trial attorney. I loved my work as a judge. The last 15 years of my judicial work was really part-time, and I opened up my own mediation arbitration practice. And again, it's just helping people get through their circumstances and listening to what their needs are and seeing if we could craft a solution. I just enjoyed that. I think just being a part of helping people's lives be better was important.
For sure. I will turn over quickly to you, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, you mentioned being an arbitrator and a mediator. To be successful at that, you really have to have a knack for conflict resolution. So for young people, especially that might be listening, what would you say some keys are to developing good conflict resolution skills?
Well, I think the primary attribute you have to strive for within yourself is the ability to listen carefully and to be open-minded. Really, it's no different than the skills you need to be a judge sitting on the bench, to have an open mind, listen to the evidence presented, and weigh that evidence. So you have to listen to what people are saying, and there's already some level of turmoil going on in their life that's brought them to the table, and then figure out what they mean from what they say. I used to tell some of the baby lawyers, well, it's like shaping the vapor as it passes through your hand. Is it a circle? Is it a square?
Yeah.
And they may be saying it's a square, but it may really be a circle. So I think listening and trying to keep the larger picture of what's going on.
Yeah, so how do you get, because you realize that they're not listening, because that's where the conflict arises from. You realize that there's parts of what's going on that they're not listening
Well,
to each other.
my job is to listen real carefully to what they're saying, and that is correct, that if it's a conflict between two people, they are not able to listen to each other with the objectivity I can as a
Yes.
professional. But to help them walk through, well, you have to, if we're going to resolve this, you have to let go of some of your expectations. You have to try to see what the other person's circumstance is, why it's so tied up with feelings,
Yes.
listening and feelings. So you have to be able to help them walk through and sort out how you feel and what the reality is. When a little kid won't brush their teeth at night because there's an orange monster under their bed, you have to deal with the orange monster
Yeah, you do.
before they're going to brush their teeth.
You do.
Well, it's the same kind of thing in a mediation, It just
It is. No,
you
but
have to find the orange monsters.
I started laughing when you said that because I was thinking about, I have one of those minds. I was thinking about the movie Major Payne.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen that.
you remember when he went in there? He said the man is in there, and he went in there and he took the gun and shot the closet.
Yeah.
And he said, and then the lady came out, and the little boy says he said that he's still in there, but if he's in there, he's not feeling very good anymore. So yeah, so so you have to kind of terminate the monster. Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
And getting people to listen is not easy, and that kind of, but maybe it even segues a little bit to my next and last question. But how was it growing up in a house of, I guess, 11 siblings?
Well, yeah, I had 10 siblings.
Yeah, 10. But
A
yeah.
household of 13 people.
Oh yes.
But, I enjoyed it because number one, I was the second kid, not the 8th or 9th kid.
Yeah.
So you had more responsibility, but you had more freedom.
Yeah.
And Mother was highly organized, and Daddy just went along with whatever. And so it was the 10 women versus the 3 guys.
Oh.
And so I grew up in a feminist commune, which helped as time went on.
Yeah.
You know, you develop a lot of self-confidence and you know what you can do and what you can't do. And so I enjoyed it. I really did, you know, and it was a different time in the world. You know, after the Second World War, and before the Vietnam War, and I realize these kids are much, much younger. But for my generation, to grow up in that almost idyllic time, you know, when the war was over, everyone could work, people left their doors unlocked, neighbors knew each other, helped each other. The goal was to be educated and to do something productive for the community. We were really in a sweet spot. So growing up for me was not full of sorrow and sadness.
Well, I'm sorry, Chef Shadow, I gotta talk about the sweet spot real quick, because you said the word, but I was talking to, I went to a men's meeting this morning, and we were talking about how cyclical life can be, and I don't even know who said this, but you were talking about the sweet spot in time, you know, in that era, but it said hard times create strong men. And even musically, you can hear it in music. That's why these artists that are 80 and 90 years old are still filling stadiums, because the music that's created, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times, but good times create soft men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you were in a place, and I kind of was there too, because I'm 68, so I kind of came in at the tail end of that era. But do you think that we have gotten to a place where we're not in a sweet spot right now?
I don't think we're in a sweet spot right now in terms of like just the soulfulness and the humanitarian concern for each other, whether it's in Fort Worth, the state of Texas, in our country, globally. And it's strange because we have all this technology now and instant communication ability, but there's such deep divisions among people that, to me, are really false criteria for really helping each other. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody with a good soul wants the same thing in terms of you want to be able to raise your family safely, you want a place to sleep safely at night, have enough to eat, a safe place to live, educate your children. When I look at those specials and they talk about the little kids in Sudan who the mother's digging down into dirt with a stick to get 2 or 3 drops of water for the day.
Yeah.
My brain can't even do that in terms of where is humanity.
Yeah. So we are not in a sweet spot.
We are not in a sweet spot, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Shiloh, go ahead, thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. So Jojo Riley, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to ultimately becoming a judge and how that looked for you?
Well, honestly, it was completely unexpected and accidental. I had no intention of trying to become a state district judge. I was set on being a legal aid lawyer, trial lawyer, advocating for the community federal poverty law program served. But the 5 judges in the family courts at that time, when this new program started, they picked me up out of the bucket and said, we want you to do this. So that's how I got started. And then as time went on, I did that for 7 years, and then a state district position opened. One of the judges retired, and a lot of the attorneys and judges encouraged me to run for public office, which was never in my cards. I didn't have an interest in it. It was kind of like selling yourself as a bar of soap, you know.
Right.
I had no interest in it. But, you know, it just, I guess, was meant to be. I mean, if you keep that sense of being led and that openness, well, I guess I should do this. And so I did it, and I think I did a good job.
Nice. So throughout your journey, you know, being, you know, in the legal precedent and arena and, you know, dealing with different cases, I guess what was one that maybe stood out to you during your career, or something that when you look back that you are maybe fond of, or something that you did that kind of helped propel your career in a good fashion?
Well, I think there are two things. One is less dramatic than the other, but it's also very meaningful. Absolutely every day, every case, every family that came before me, whether they were dealing with divorce, custody, adoption, abuse, or they were people of means dividing 3 million, 400 million property estates, whatever the issues were that dropped in your lap, just to try to do a good job and to be fair and pay attention to what was going on. To me, that's as important as the more dramatic experience. Now, the dramatic experience I had, it happened when I'd only been practicing law 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was a legal aid lawyer. And in a period of 2 years, I had 6 young women and 1 newborn infant murdered in domestic violence situations in my caseloads, in my files. And it was a time back in the early 80s in Tarrant County where there was no police training, there was no cohesive approach to resolving family violence issues. The police would say go to the DA would say go to the police, and young woman after young woman was murdered. So I did about 600 hours of research over a period of a year and decided to file a lawsuit against the city of Fort Worth, the police department, and the district attorney, and try to get them held responsible for their lack of dealing with the realities. There was a new line of cases starting in the United States, really through the federal probation issues. Big case out of California, the Martinez case, and they were saying when you look at the egregious injury and harm, and that would include waking up dead, and you juxtapose it to the lack of response from the officials charged with the peace of the community, there should be consequences for egregious harm. And so I filed the case in state district court, sued the officials publicly in their official position and in their individual capacities. And it was a case of first impression. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court. They did not grant cert, so the U.S. Supreme Court did not hear it. But that approach to trying to resolve the remedy and to remedy the situation resulted in the Texas legislature funding shelters, police were getting training, and so that was a big deal. And along the way, the district attorney tried to disbar me, and so there was some personal angst involved in it. But that was something that really set within me more deeply than it ever had been, the importance of advocacy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that today. People being silenced or before speaking up. We're seeing a lot more of that today than we ever have in my lifetime, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even opposing viewpoints are what gave us our way of life. So being able to unify those opposing viewpoints is what gave us our way of life. So I had to thank you for clapping, and I had to clap along with it because it's being willing to take a chance. Young people need to hear that message. Being able to take a chance on something, being willing to believe in it enough that you'll take a chance on it.
Well, and at the same time, for young people, you have to be. There is a certain amount of caution. Even me, as a young professional, then I knew this was not going to be accepted well.
Yes.
But we had more protection from the civic community, from the legal system then. Although I admire the federal judges now who are holding our administration accountable
Yes.
for their lack of understanding of the United States Constitution. But you have to, on the one hand, have enough personal courage to go forward, but you can't be stupid and harm yourself or ruin your opportunity for a career or your own personal well-being,
Right.
or your family's safety.
Right. Yeah. You have to be willing and able to balance that.
And we need each other to do that. You can't
Yes.
do it alone.
Yes.
For sure. So, Judge O'Reilly, I guess my next question for you is, what are, I guess, some of the things that were your favorite, I guess, parts about being a lawyer in general that you liked?
Well, I like the newness of every day. Every case is unique. You know, it's creative work. You have to do your homework and know the statutes and laws that apply to the area you're working in. But every person's a different person with a different need, and you know, to work together with them and find a solution. The academic part of it, I had an interest in. You know, staying abreast of what was changing, learning my areas of law well so that I could do a good job. I just found it stimulating intellectually and personally to be involved in something meaningful every day.
Nice. That's really great. So, I guess in terms of being a judge, how do you handle cases maybe where maybe it's a tough situation and maybe they're being belligerent, or it's just a situation that's very, I guess, personal? Like, how do you handle those sorts of touchy areas of some of those serious cases, would you say?
Well, you have to be able to, like I said, listen carefully and maintain enough objectivity to help craft a solution. You know, really to be charged with making major decisions in people's life is really a sacred responsibility. So it's not, you can't be nonchalant about it, or, oh, well, if I make the wrong decision, so what? You know, I'm going to lunch and I get to have my favorite sandwich. You know? You can't have that attitude, you know.
Of course.
But I think just keeping the perspective that it's not just you as a person. You represent the dignity of the system, the dignity of the court. You have to maintain your professionalism at all times. I know sometimes when I've helped train baby judges, I'm saying if you are conducting a jury trial and you roll your eyes, you have to practice playing like you're gonna cough. Turn your chair around and roll your eyes to the wall. Do not do that in front of a jury. You can cause a mistrial. So you have to keep your composure and your wits about you.
For sure. Yeah. So I know earlier you were mentioning different cases of, you know, domestic violence and some of those areas. I guess how the emotional aspect of it, did that affect you in any way in terms of dealing with those cases, researching them, and trying to provide a solution that everyone agreed with?
It's very difficult emotionally to deal with a young client, 23, 24 years old, who's been shot to death in front of their 3 little kids. That was one of the 2 cases I took in my case up to the U.S. Supreme Court. The sorrow and violence and savagery that you see and it impacts you is not as devastating as the family members, particularly the children, who have to deal with that reality. So I think you have to have some spiritual base. Whatever spirituality you've been raised in or have found, I think to work with people on an intense level, you have to have some sense of the greatness of God wherever you meet God, whether you're Baptist or Buddhist or Hindu or Methodist or evangelical. You have to have some sense of purpose in being led.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, in terms of, you know, the legal system, I know, you know, a lot of, you know, young people, you know, I see, you know, different cases on social media where people, young boys or teenagers, you know, around my age, are sentenced to life in prison and different things of that nature. Do you think social media or just the society in general has played a role in terms of young men or young boys being caught in that predicament, or do you have any opinion on that?
I think it is absolutely immoral for our society to take any young person, even those who have been involved in violent circumstances, and damn them to a life of poverty or imprisonment. It is just wrong. We have to find better solutions. People have to be accountable for their mistakes, but you can't just throw people away and stack them up in a warehouse and think society's gonna be better.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, a lot of times, you know, like you were saying earlier, when you're in charge of making a life decision on someone else, a lot of times people get caught up in what they have going on and not what's right in front of them. And that comes with a lot of privilege, and you know, they're not being affected, so they just feel, you know, I can do what I want, it's not gonna make a difference any other way. But you know, I know there's a saying that, you know, karma goes around and comes around, so you just gotta be careful with the type of decisions you make when you get in those types of roles, you know. So,
I think karma is a real thing.
yeah.
I think, and I mean, you can't say that about all of life, because there are a lot of sorrowful circumstances that happen to really good people. But I think anytime any of us make a shallow or mean decision, we're gonna be accountable for it later.
Yeah, for sure. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Stewart.
Okay, I did wanna, I wanted to ask you, what, because you were talking about, what you felt was essential to be a good judge, or even a good attorney for that matter, you know, being an advocate for people. What personality traits would you say are essential to you know, for young people to look at being in the judiciary as a career? What personality traits would you say are essential?
Well, I think you have to like people. I mean, really like people. It cannot be an ego trip. If you
Yeah.
want to be Mary Queen of Scots or the King of England, you need a different job. You're a public servant, and so I think you have to have a certain amount of understanding about this is a service position.
Yes.
I think you have to have enough energy to care about other people all day long. It's hard sometimes to care about other people from
Yeah.
8 to 5.
It is.
But you have to have that intellectual and physical energy to care about what's going on.
Yes.
I think you have to commit yourself to doing your homework. And like I said, I think the number one thing is to be a good listener. I think you have to have a good heart.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just a heart for service. Yeah.
Yes.
For service, because it is definitely not everyone that thinks they're going to be good at something. It doesn't always end up that way, you know. And while we do have to use a measure of trial and error to find our way in life, we advocate young people. I know there's a RISE Act. There's different. There's True Colors. There's different personality tests out there that can help. Yeah, have you ever taken any of those or
No,
no?
I think my generation was too old.
But there are personality tests out there that for anyone that's searching that would help you, because if you really love your work, as Judge O'Reilly does, if you love your work, there's a saying that says you really never really work a day in your life. Doesn't mean that your work's not going to be difficult at times, but enjoying it allows you to persevere the difficult moments. So you know, it's very, very, you know, very crucial.
For sure. So, Judge O'Reilly, I guess my next question would be, what advice maybe would you give to a young person who is interested or maybe pursuing going into the criminal justice system?
I think really for any young person trying to find their way through a career path, I think you have to remember that you have a place in society that's important. keep a sense of self-respect, keep a sense of discipline, because it's hard sometimes to do the things you have to do to get where you want to be. I didn't enjoy 1 minute of law school, which may sound strange, but I didn't. I love my undergraduate work, but I did, and there were a number of things going on in my own life and my family that made law school hard for me. Practically speaking, just getting there on a city bus for one semester, for instance. But you have to be willing to commit to the hard work. But I think just stay after it, be open-minded. You may think you're interested in law, but then that opens the door to something else. You know, sometimes it's just as important to know what you don't want to do as what you want to do. So I think just be open and stay after it, and seek the advice of those who you trust. And I mean, I used to go, when I worked for the phone company, you all would laugh because it's a switchboard with cords, not an iPhone. On my day off, I go sit in the courthouse and just sit in the back of the courtroom. I had no idea what they were saying or what was going on, but I just wanted to learn.
Right.
So and you'll find people who can help you along the path you want to pursue.
For sure, and going back to what you were saying about discipline, I heard this person was saying, like, when you look at a mountain, when you're at the top, everything's good, it's peaches and cream, but when you're going up through the trenches and the curves and climbing up the mountain in general, that's where you're gonna get tested. And a lot of times, you just want to see it from the top but not put in the work to actually get to the top.
Well, it sounds so corny, but it is absolutely true that it's one step at a time. I've hiked the Grand Canyon, I guarantee you it's one step at a time.
How was that experience?
It was great, but it wears you out.
I like that, one step at a time, because we are our society. We are in a minute-made society. We want it now, like you said. We want to be on top of the mountain, but we don't want to climb it. And climbing it is what builds muscle, so that you, number one, that you can go higher, but it helps you to appreciate being there.
Well, you have to find the courage within yourself you need for the different situations.
Yeah.
And it's in you. It is within you. You have to find it. And some circumstances that are very difficult teach you a kind of fearlessness that is important to get through life.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy of weightlifting, because we work out, we do that to build physical muscle, but it's the situations and circumstances in life that build spiritual muscle. It is, it is when we lift those that we build the character we need to keep growing and to keep going. So, Shiloh, I guess we got time for one last question, I guess. We didn't take a break today, by the way, because we got started with the guest late, but we got our time in, so.
Yes, sir. So, Judge O'Reilly, I guess my last question for you is, what advice would you maybe give to a younger version of yourself?
I would say keep your eyes on the vision that you have. Trust your instincts. Be forgiving to yourself. Be forgiving to others. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Keep going forward, and just use every day as a huge blessing to make life better for yourself.
That's a great message.
Very good.
I second that.
Yeah, I third it.
Well,
So stipulated, counsel.
Yes, so stipulated, yes.
Well, Judge O'Reilly, thank you for coming on with us today.
You're very,
Yes,
very
thank
welcome.
you.
I'm
Thank you
glad
so
to share
much.
the time with you.
Yes. And I hope that young people, especially, families with young people especially that are listening, saw the joy that can be gotten from just dedicating your life to something greater than yourself. That's really what it is. Being a judiciary, really, like you said, it's a job of service, and you have to be willing to see beyond yourself and address the needs, and the needs of others, and be willing to be a part of filling that need. Yeah, you don't have to fill it yourself, just be a part of it.
That's right.
You know, so, thank you again, and it is time, the clock on the wall says it's time for us to get out of here. Shiloh, go ahead and take us out.
Yes, sir. As me and Mr. Stewart always tell you guys, take time to truly love yourself, because if you do, it will be that much easier to love somebody else. We'll see you guys back here next week.
Take care. Wow.
We're gonna take pictures out here.
I'm so sorry I was late. Wrong address.
Oh, yeah, and they're on about 4001 Airport Freeway, so.
We learned something every day.
Yes.
We're gonna take your picture out here, Judge.
You know where it goes, right? The podcast over, and then we will talk.
Program supported by the
Now, we
Family
need to
Services Bureau
ask
is
you-
developed to teach evidence-based teen pregnancy prevention curriculum that teaches middle high school students to set boundaries from drugs, alcohol,
So how's it going for you?
and all premature
Get better at it,
activity.
you know?
Also,
Yeah.
parents and other adults.
I just